which includes functional testing, performance testing, application security testing, and ISMS audit. I am one of the ISMS certified auditor. I have experience of conducting so many audits. In addition, I am also one of the ITVA certified assessor. ITVA is Insider Threat Vulnerability Assessment, which is issued by CERT USA. I am also one of the certified assessor for that. This is my brief introduction. We'll just proceed to introduction to ISMS as well as the ISO IEC 27000 family. When we talk about ISMS, ISMS is nothing but Information Security Management System. So before entering into Information Security Management System, we should know what is security and what is information security and what is management and what is system. So this will be the, this will give you the idea about why should we go for implementation of ISMS using the standard 27000 only and its family. Okay. So when you talk about what is in general security, we all know that security is for everything. We talk about security for everything, and it is in general it is meant as a protection of something. When you want to protect something, you are telling that security needs to be implemented or it needs to be strengthened. Even in our home, when we talk about our home situations, we see that there are some valuable assets and that needs to be protected. For that, we make appropriate security arrangements. It is like, assets, which is all the assets you need not to go for security. The assets which has got value, the assets which has got value, which in case of sabotage will try to create chaos in your business operations or in your business loss or financial loss, even your theft of your information. So basically, we give the protection, we give the security, but for what? Which is the item or assets which is having a high or critical asset values. So what is information? Can we say information is an asset? Yes, information is an asset. When we say information, we think that it is only a data, computer data or computer program or operating system or database, whatever is there. That is what we think that it is a information. No, it is not alone is information. Anything which is, anything which has got value is called as information, and that is why it is called as information is called as asset. It may be your physical hardware, it may be some design, it may be some IPR related things, it may be your software assets, it may be personal information. So these are all depends on the criticality or depends on the value. This information needs to be protected. And how do you know that the information has got value? So how much amount of business impact or how much amount of financial losses or how much amount of reputation you are going to lose in case of compromise or victimization of these assets. So obviously you have to do the valuation of each assets. When you are doing the valuation of each assets, you know that yes, these are all the assets has got very high value of very high value. So these assets in general, I need to protect it. The assets which has got minimal value on your economical loss, on your financial loss, on your business operations, on your personal information, that can be compromised if that is not going to affect all these aspects. So that is why here it comes as a risk acceptance criteria. Yeah, assets which has got very less value or less impact on your business can be accepted. Even if it is compromised, even if it is sabotaged, you can accept. So here the term of risk comes. What is risk? We should know what is risk. Risk is nothing but the thing which by which if it is if a weakness, you can say risk is a weakness. If it is exposed to inside or outside world, how this is going to be exploited? The weakness there in the system or weakness there in the protective system, if exposed to outside or exposed to inside, how this is going to affect your business operations, how it is going to affect how much amount of loss it is going to give for your business. Based on that, you are giving the value to the assets. So the weakness which is bound to be there, which is going, if it is going to be exploited, how much amount of loss you are going to have, how much amount of loss for your reputation you are going to have. So those risk you cannot allow to continue. For that, so you have to identify the assets and what are all the assets which is having vulnerabilities or weaknesses. So whether those weaknesses can be exploited. Yes, if it can be exploited, what will be your business loss? What will be your personal loss? What will be your financial loss? So based on that only you are giving a value to the assets. So now you know that these are all possible. You can protect by identifying your assets, by identifying the weaknesses there in the assets, and by mitigating or putting security controls to avoid exploitation of these weaknesses. Now, can it be personal dependent? No. If you make it personal dependent, again, it becomes a chaotic situation, because personal, you cannot believe a person who is going to continue with your organization forever. And it is not that the one person is going to do the same role forever. So when anybody comes or goes, if you implement a system, the system will take care of the protection of your assets. When we are talking about assets, in terms of information security, the assets are mainly protected or to be protected for confidentiality, availability, and integrity. For these three parameters, for these three attributes, your information needs to be protected. So ultimately, when you talk about information security, it is CAA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. These three attributes you have to protect it. If you are ensuring the confidentiality, if you are ensuring the availability, if you are ensuring the integrity of information, then you are said to be achieving the ISMS, Information Security Management System. And when you say it is a management system, we know that there are assets available. You know that these assets are having vulnerabilities. We know that these vulnerabilities, if it is exploited, is going to create a problem. If you know that this is going to create a problem and how much amount of loss it is going to make also we know, then how we are going to mitigate or how we are going to control it by implementing a ISMS system. So system is nothing but you do anything for protection of your confidentiality, integrity, and availability. You do anything, any activities, any operations to protect CIA. But whatever activities you are doing, those activities needs to be defined in a process. That is why we are calling it as a system. So you do activities. It is not, it is not a problem, but it should be controlled. Whatever activities you are doing, that activities needs to be defined and it needs to be controlled. That is why the system has come. Like any other system, you talk about any system, any management system. The management system is asking for defining the processes in advance so that you can do a proactive measures for protecting or for ensuring the quality. When you talk about quality management system, you have to have a process. You have to define the process, and if it is a manufacturing sector, whatever the defined processes are there, only those processes should be allowed to ensure the quality of the product. The similar manner, whatever definitions you are making to ensure the CAA, that is confidentiality, integrity, and availability, only those practices or only those processes needs to be followed mandatorily by any persons who is there as a employee or who is there as a partner, who is there as a controlling authority, they needs to follow the defined process. Once they follow the defined process, organization is saved. It is saved in the sense you can minimize the risk possessed by your organization for doing your businesses. It is not that it is a foolproof mechanism which will always 100% avoid having problems. But it is a that is why I said it is a proactive system. When this system is implemented, it minimizes the risk possessed by your organization's business processes. Even in case of, in spite of putting all.
Sir, sorry for interruption. Have to change the slide?
I will change. I will just change.
Okay, actually.
I'll change. I'll come when I come to the standard. I will change. So this brief introduction about management system, the importance of management system.
It's not changing. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah. I'll do it. Don't worry. So just I'm giving introduction about management system so that it will be, for them it will be easy to understand. So when we were talking about management system, the management system has to have a defined process. And when we were talking about defined processes, this processes has to be in line with the management standard, ISO standards. Here for information security management system, you have a standard called ISO IEC 27000 and its family. Okay, this is the standard which gives you the requirements for any organization to undergo ISMS certification. This standard gives you the requirements, and it has got elaborate requirements, and all those requirements, wherever it is relevant to your organization, needs to be identified. And those requirements there are some mandatory requirements. Mandatory requirements, you do not have any way to escape. You have to fulfill the mandatory requirements. And other controls are there. Those controls, you have the freedom. Whatever controls is very much effective for your organization, that you need to identify, and those controls needs to be implemented to have an effective information security management system. Okay, so it's a standard. It's a very fantastic standard, apart from any other standard like ISO 9000, ISO 14001, or any other standard. This is one of the best standard available for protecting information of your organization or information assets of your organization. We will just go through the standard, and what is the standard requirement we'll see. Okay, when we talk about ISO IEC 27000, this is the journey which has crossed by this particular standard. In 1995, there was a standard called British Standard 77-1. In 1995, it was published by British Standard Association, specifically targeting the requirements for information security management system. The same in 2000, the BS has become ISO IEC 17799. The same British standard was adopted by ISO IEC in 2000, and it was renamed as ISO IEC 17799. And this is basically having the requirements, security requirements. What are all the requirements an organization has to meet or to be implemented when they want to go for the certification? And they felt there are some gap area because people were not understanding correctly the requirements given by the standard. So there was a guiding standard which was published in 1999. It was BS 7799-2 part 2. It was -2 means part 2. This was giving a code of practice, how to understand it. It gives you the details about the requirements, what is the meaning of the requirement, and how these requirements can be implemented in your organization. That is part 2, BS 7799 part 2. And in 2005, again there was some modifications in the standard. It is same 17799, but after some time, I think it was November or so, in 2005 itself, this ISO IEC 17799 has become 27001 2005 version. So originally, this ISO 27000 and 27000 standard has become effective or has been given this nomenclature from 2005 onwards. Okay, then after 2005, in 2007, the same BS 7799-2 was adopted as ISO IEC 27002 2005. So you have two standards. One is 27001, another is 27002. 27001, you just for your information, 27001 means it gives you the requirements. What are all the requirements the organization has to fulfill when they want to go for certification? And 27002 gives you the code of practice or implementation guidelines, which how to interpret the requirements given in 27001. That is given in 27002. And in 2013, this 27001 has become again the same name, but some controls they felt which is overlapping, which is not required. Those controls they have removed it in 2013 version. Now the currently available version is 27001 2013, as well as the currently available version for 27002 is 2013 version. Okay, understood? So the nutshell of this particular slide is 27001 is a requirement standard, 27002 is the implementation standard guidelines. That is, if you are understanding that, that's enough. Okay, when we talk about 27,000 standard, 27,000 standard, it is a family standard which has got so many parts. So 27,000 itself is a vocabulary standard which gives you the definition, terms and definitions of each and every words and jargons given in the 27,000 family standards. You have 27,000 families, so many standards, and each standard there are some jargons, some terms and some terminologies. To make it understand you what is the meaning of terms and terminologies, that is addressed in 27,001. That is why we call it as a vocabulary standard. And 27,001, as I said, it is the requirement standard which gives you the requirements. It is information security management system requirements. What are all the requirements an organization has to fulfill if they want to go for certification under 27,001? And to give you another information, this 27,001, it is not for personnel. It is not. This certification is not for persons, and it is for the organization. Any organization which does business based on the IT, which does the IT applications and IT usage and data center provision, all those businesses, if they are depending on IT, information technology applications and its benefits, and those organization can go for 27,001 certification, not for personnel. And then 27,001 gives you the requirements, and you have a set of standard which is guideline standards. So 27,002, 27,003, 27,004, 27,005 and 27,007. So I was telling about 27,002, which is a code of practice for information security controls. So it is not only giving me the implementation, how to implement the requirements given in 27,001, as well it gives you what are all the controls, applicable controls the standard is asking for. A guidelines is given in 27,002. So it is a code of practice. It is in line with the 27,001. You need to refer to 27,002 if you really want to understand the requirement of 27,001. And if you want to really apply the controls, whatever is applicable for your organization, you need to refer to 27,002 for its meaning, for its explanation. Okay. Then you have 27,003 Information Security Management System implementation guidelines. So this implementation guidelines, one is requirement, another is code of practice. This implementation guidelines, it gives you how to implement 27,001 in your organization and what are all the mandatory documents you are supposed to have it in to meeting the requirement of 27,001. So 27,003 and 27,002, if you refer, that is more than enough for establishing a ISMS a process in your organization. Okay. Then you have 27,004. 4, which talks about measurement. Okay, you have ISMS implemented. How are you going to measure the effectiveness of your ISMS system? That is Information Security Management System. You have implemented and you have established the effectiveness of this implementation. How are you going to measure? So that is given in 27,004. And in addition, you have 27,005, which is talking about the risk management. So when I was telling in the beginning itself, risk is a weakness or a vulnerability present in your organization or in your assets. If it is exploited by somebody, maybe insider or outsider, it is going to create a catastrophic effect, or it is going to sabotage your business operation. So now I wanted to minimize those risks. So how you can do the risk management? How you can do the risk management after identification of assets? So that is addressed in 27,005, and you have 27,007, which is about system auditing. Okay, it is giving you have implemented the system based on the risk assessment. You have identified what are all the assets which is having vulnerabilities, and you are valuing that assets, or you are giving a value to each asset in terms of cost, or in terms of reputation, or in terms of financial loss if it is compromised. And you are managing the risk, and you are establishing the system. After establishing the system, you need to audit the system at a regular interval. It says regular interval. You can, that is internal quality. Internal quality, how are you doing it? A process is given in 27,007. So these are all the important standards in addition to 27,001, 27,002, 27,003, 4, 5, and 7. These are all the important standards you may have to refer to if you want to implement 27,001 for your organization in order to get certification. Okay, so these all the standards. 2 to 7, it is called guideline standards. Okay, then you have some other standards like 27,010. It is talking about information security management guidelines for intersector. Now you have an information security certification, ISMS certification for your organization. So you wanted to go for your organization some other certification, maybe environmental management system, maybe ISO 9000 management system, or maybe any other management system. If you want to go for that, then you can seek the help. You can take the help of this 27,010. How to make use of already existing process and procedures to meet the requirement of the additional management system. Okay, so you can make use of the 27,010 if you want to go for additional certification other than 27,001. And 27,011, it gives guidelines for telecommunication organization based on 27,002. It is giving you additional information if you are telco company, if you are a telecom operator. In addition to 27,001 and 27,002, it gives additional requirements. You need to refer to this standard, and you have to incorporate all those processes, as well as you need to implement those controls also in addition to 27,001 if you are a telecom operator. Okay, likewise you have so many standards. When you come to the right extreme side, you have 27,006, which is for people like us, we go and audit our organization. So when we are planning to go for audit, and when we are doing audit services, what is our code of practices to be? That is addressed in 27,006. How we have to plan audit, how we have to do the audit, the code of practice, everything is given in 27,006. And there is a TR, that is a technical report 27,008, which is giving guidelines about auditing the ISMS controls. Technical report, it is yet to be made as a standard. It is technical report. So this also, as audit organization, I need to refer when I go for the audit, looking at the relevance of the controls chosen by the organization. So 27,013 is there, guidance on the integrated implementation of ISO, IEC 27,001 and 20,000. So What is 20,000? ISO IEC 20,000 is for service. It is like a business process organization, BPOs. Earlier, there was a separate concept of certification of 20,000, and 27,000 is a part of 20,000. Now, when you want to go for either 20,000 or 27,001, or already you have 27,001 and you want to plan for 20,000, you need to refer to the requirements and controls, additional controls applicable in 27,013. And you have 27,014. It is a governance of information security, how you are governing the information security. You can take help from this. Likewise, you have so many standards. Okay, so why this is called as family standard? You talk about information security management. This particular umbrella 27,000 standard, ISO 27,000 standard, gives you entire gamut of information security management system. Okay, that is what is the point. And we were talking about management system in the beginning itself. Management system is a systematic way of executing or carrying out the operations in your organization. Any activity, any operations you do, you are in an organization, that activity mandatorily to be defined. If it is not defined, it will be a violation. Any activities which is not defined, and if it is practiced in the organization, which is certified for 27,001, or it is certified for ISO 9000, or if it is certified for 22,000, any activities performed, if it is not defined, that becomes a violation. That becomes a non-conformance. So management system is a systematic definition of process for carrying out your practices. So you have so many management standard. You have ISO 9001, you have ISO 14,001, you have ISO 20,000, 22,000, 22,301, you have 27,001. So ISO 9001, you are all well aware of it. It is quality management system. You have 14,001, it is environmental management system. You have 20,000, it is for service BPO organization. You have 22,000. 22,000 is food safety management. ISO 22,000 is food safety management, and you have 22,301. 22,301 is a new standard, which is known as business continuity management. So when you want to have a separate certification for your managing your business continuity process, so you can go for this particular certification 22,301 and ultimately 27,001. So these are all why we are giving here. There are so many management system standards, and each has got its own requirement. But 27,001 allows the adoption of other standards also when you are defining. If the requirements are common, the processes defined for other standard certification also can be aligned or combined with 27,001. That is what is the point here. Okay. Now, when we talk about the architecture of this 27,001, when you talk about architecture of 27,001, this is the architecture of 27,001 standard. It starts with introduction, then scope, normative references, terms and definitions. So these are all common, and the original adoption required is from class number 4. It is context of the organization. So in the context of the organization, you have to define about organization and its context, why the organization is existing, and who are all the stakeholders, partners, or clients of your organization, and what is their issues that needs to be addressed in 4.1, and who are all your interested parties, apart from your clients, apart from your partners, apart from your stakeholders, other interested parties also you need to identify, and what is the expectations from the partner you need to identify under 4.2. And after identifying this 4.1 and 4.2, you are defining for the scope of ISMS. What my ISMS scope is going to be defined in your manual. It should be a document that is called ISMS scope document. ISMS scope document has to be defined by considering 4.1 and 4.2. Then you are trying to establish the are trying to implement the information security management system. And when you want to implement the management system, yes, definitely you need a support from the management that is addressed in leadership. Leadership, your management, what are the support they have to give for implementation of management system, and what is their, unless otherwise they have a commitment, you cannot implement the system. So what is their commitment? What is their foresight on implementing your ISMS? And they need to have a commitment. They need to provide you appropriate resources for implementing the system, and they need to provide you appropriate resources for after implementing the verification of effectiveness of the implemented system, as well as they need to support you in terms of tools and techniques if you want to go for ISMS system. So that commitment comes from leadership. And then the management, top management has to define the policy. What is this ISMS policy? It is a policy which tells about how my ISMS operation is going to be implemented in your organization. What is your policy? That is to be and signed by the top management itself, so that he is taking he is giving you the commitment that he will support in every aspects of ISMS implementation and its continuation. And it is not only given by him, and it is the organizational roles and responsibility has to be very clearly defined. Who will do what? When you are talking about ISMS policy and ISMS policy, from there only everything starts. From by looking at ISMS policy itself, you will come to know what is the interest of, or what is the weightage, what is the value the organization, the top management is giving to the implementation of ISMS will be known through ISMS policy itself. And from its roles and responsibilities, who will do what, who will be in charge for operation security, who will be in charge for network security, who will be in charge for personal and admin, who will be responsible for resources. So all those activities very clearly to be defined, roles and responsibility, and what each supposed to do is also to be defined. And planning, class number 6 is dealing with planning. When we talk about planning, it has to talk about how we are planning to, what is our plan to implement ISMS. So it starts with resources requirement, competence required for implementing, and what are all the awareness to be given, and what are all the, how the communication will be happening inside the organization as well as the outside the organization, and what are all the important documented information you are supposed to maintain, generate and maintain it. So that is coming in the support. In the planning stage, apart from your roles and responsibility, information objectives. So okay, we have defined the scope. The top management has given the policy. Now how we are going to meet the policy, that will be given in the information security objective. So during the planning, when I need to meet the policy of the top management, what are all the objectives, security objectives I am going to, through which I am going to meet the policy. Objective in general, objective should be measurable. You keep an objective which can be measured and which can be demonstrated. So you have a scope, you have a policy, and to meet the policy, you have a security objective, and the security objective, you see that it is measurable. Okay, security objective, like, all my system needs to be protected with antivirus system, effective antivirus system, and effective updating has to be happen regularly, and the system audit has to happen regularly. Like that, you keep a security objective, so that this objective you can measure, as well as you can try to correlate this objective to the policy. That is what is the point. And support process we have seen already. Then during the operations, operation phases, you are finding out what are all the assets are with you, and these assets, whether it is having any weakness and vulnerabilities. If assets are having vulnerabilities and weaknesses, you need to see the mitigation, and first you need to see the assets value. And if assets value is high, yes, definitely it has got vulnerabilities and weaknesses. And if vulnerabilities and these weaknesses are exploited by anybody, it is going to create a problem for your organization running. Then you need to plan for mitigating those risks. So you need to do the risk analysis, risk identification, risk analysis, and risk estimation, as well as regular analysis of the risk. You have to do it. So it is coming under operations, because it is a continuous process. It is not that you have defined the assets and you have you have done the estimation on the asset value, and you have identified the vulnerabilities and weaknesses in the assets, and you have done the analysis at first time. And it is not that you have to kept as it is. You have to continuously look for new vulnerabilities and weaknesses in the system or in the assets, and you have to address those vulnerabilities and weaknesses in a regular interval. You have to do the analysis, risk analysis, in a planned interval. And not only that, after doing it, we were talking about security objectives, and all this security objective needs to be monitored, it needs to be measured, and anywhere any gap area is there, why the gap area has come, and how that needs to be addressed. Yeah, a process shall be established. So continuous monitoring should be there, continuous measurement should be there, and analysis needs to be done. In addition to that, you need to conduct internal audit to see the effectiveness of your implemented system, ISMS system. Internal audit needs to be done. In addition, you need to do the management review. Management review, what for? It is maybe a new the technology tools and systems implemented by you, it is obsolete, or it has got capacity problems. It is not supporting the latest technology. So that all needs to be identified during this internal audit as well as during the management review. And once it is identified, you can go on continuous improvement of your system. That is in 10.1 as well as 10.2. The non-compliance brought out from monitoring, internal audit, and management review needs to be corrected, and root cause analysis to be done. Once you correct and the root cause analysis is done, you see that your system is continually improving. Okay, this is the whole structure of the standard. Now we will go by one. So like any management system, this ISMS system also has got a PDCA model. It is PDCA model is your planning. During the planning phase, you are establishing the ISMS, and you are acting it, that is you are doing it. It is implementation. Your one establishment, another is implementation and operation. Third is you are checking it, whether I have correctly implemented. Is there any gap area? So that checking is happening through monitor, review, and your internal quality audit, as well as your management review. And then if any non-conformity is found, that is addressed, and you are planning for continuous improvement. So where from it comes from interested parties, and it comes from organizations, internal and external, the organization. The input for establishing the ISMS comes from your business partners, stakeholders, and relevant entities, and its internal and external issues. You are establishing, you are implementing and operating, you are monitoring, and you are maintaining it for continual improvement. Then you get a interested party satisfied, and you have a managed services. This is again, it's another representation of the same model. Here, when you are planning it, you can refer to the class number 4, class number 5, class number 6, class number 7 of the ISMS 27001 standard. This 4 classes gives you the requirements for planning. So you have a requirements for planning. So for planning, you need to refer to these 4 classes. And when in operation, when you are implementing it, you need to go for class number 8. What are all the operational requirements are there that you have to meet it? And For checking the implementation, you have to go for class number 7. There are clearly requirements are given. As per the requirements, you have to check, and the continuous improvement, you have to refer to class number 10. So this is what is when you plan for ISMS implementation, you need to go refer to 4, 5, 6, 7. When you operate it, or when you implement it, after implementation, during the implementation, you have to refer to the requirements of 8. And for auditing or for checking or for monitoring, you need to look at the requirements in class number 9. And class number 10 is the outcome of check phase, check phase. So improvement, how it will be improvement, how it will be demonstrated by implementing the corrective actions for the non-conformance found out during the performance evaluation. Okay. And context of the diagram, this is I will go very fast now. In the context of the diagram, it is understanding the organization and its context. The organization shall determine external and internal issues that are relevant to its purpose, that affects its ability to achieve the intended outcome. You wanted to protect your system. You wanted to protect, you wanted to ensure confidentiality, integrity, and availability. But for protecting that, what are all the internal and external issues you are facing needs to be addressed in 4.1. And who are all your interested parties, and what is their expectations, that needs to be addressed in 4.2. One is 4.1, internal and external issues you have to identify pertaining to the operations. You are planning to implement the system, but what are all the hurdles, what are all the issues you are having needs to be identified in 4.1. And 4.2, you need to identify who are all your stakeholders. Other than stakeholders, who are all the government entities. Some compliance, what are the compliances you have to go through mandatory. Those interested parties you need to identify in 4.2, and what is their expectations you need to identify. And you have to go for the scoping the ISMS. We have discussed already. So from this 4.1 and 4.2, you can define the scope of your information management system. Then you are once a scope is established, then you can have a policy. Define the scope, then define the ISMS policy, undertake appropriate risk assessment, undertake appropriate risk assessment, identify the areas of risk to be. Risk is nothing but, don't get confused with the risk. Risk is nothing but whether your system or whether your assets, information assets, has got any weakness or vulnerability. So if it has got vulnerability or weakness, those weakness, whether it is how it is going to affect your business operations. Is it going to be minimal or it is going to be enormous? So based on that, you are making a criteria whether I can live with this vulnerability, whether I can live with this weakness, which is not going to affect my business. So you are making a decision based on the risk assessment. And if vulnerabilities and the weaknesses, if you feel that it is going to give an enormous problem, then you need to control it. How will you control it, or how will you mitigate those risks? You can make use of 27001 ISMS controls. You apply those controls to minimize your risk. And then prepare now. Yeah, you know that there is a risk. You know that it needs to be controlled. It needs to be controlled through what? It is through your ISMS control available in 27001. And after identifying the controls, you need to prepare a statement of applicability of your controls. There are 114 controls available in 27001. So it depends on your business operation, depends on the vulnerabilities and weaknesses existing in your system. You need to identify the controls. It is not that all the 114 controls may be relevant for your business operations. For your business operations, what are all the controls are applicable. So maximum number of controls, you are assuring that maximum number of risk you are trying to avoid. So you have to select a number of controls based on the business operations, and you have to prepare a statement of applicability. Now you have seen about scope, you have seen about policy, you have seen about implementing the policy by doing a risk assessment. Then you have seen about a statement of applicability. These are all the documents the ISMS certification scheme is looking for. A document should be prepared that describes the scope of ISMS in terms of organization, location, and assets. The scope will demonstrate the management, their security responsibility, encourage them to pay appropriate attention to the subjects. So scope has to be defined first. After defining the scope, for defining the scope, you can make use, this we have already discussed, but again and again it is coming. To define the scope, you can make use of class number 4.1, class number 4.2, and you can make, you can define the scope, then you can plan for ISMS system. It is in pictorial representation, we have already discussed. And example of the scope statement. Example of the scope statement: the personal information about the staff, all other information related to the business process to be protected. So ultimately what it is to be protected. So that can be a scope. All information processing facilities, including computers, printers, LAN and internet connections needs to be protected. All software used in the process information needs to be protected. Storage media such as disks, CDs, tapes, this all needs to be protected. So this becomes your scope of ISMS. So I wanted to protect all these assets. So I need to go for ISMS certification. Then you have a, after defining the scope, you are making a policy statement. It is a written policy document, should be available to all employees' responsibilities. Not that top management has defined the policies and it is available with him alone. No, it is not. It should be available to all the relevant stakeholders, including all the employees, whoever is there in the ISMS operations. It should contain statement of intent by the senior. What is his vision? What is his mission? How he is forecasting to protect his information assets even in future. So about that, it has to be there in the policy. Policy should be simple and to the point. Top level policy, security policy statement. This security policy statement needs to be communicated to all the stakeholders. And apart from this top level security policy statement, lower level security policy statement also there, according to the requirement of the standard. So there are, to come to, I was talking about 114 controls. This 114 controls, it comes from various domain or various area which is to be covered for ISMS. This various area, we will see around 14 domain, we call it as a domain, around 14 domains you need to concentrate when you go for certification. Okay, leadership we have already elaborately discussed. Leadership and commitment should be there, policy should be there, roles and responsibility to be defined by the leadership. And earlier it was known as management responsibility. In earlier standard, it was known as management responsibility. Now it has been changed as a leadership. Leadership. Okay, there is a change in term, as it was previously known as management responsibility. Now it has been changed, ensuring that ISMS policy, ISMS objectives are established and are compatible with the strategic direction of the organization, directing and supporting persons to contribute to the effectiveness of the ISMS management system. And you have planning stage. In the planning stage, you are assuring that management system can achieve its intended outcome to prevent or reduce undesired effect and achieve continual improvement. When you are planning it, we have to plan all those. Okay, whether my planning is going to avoid undesired actions, whether it is going to prevent, whether it is going to reduce undesired effect, whether I am planning for continuous improvement. So ISMS, it is not only that, it is a static one. Once you have implemented, you forget it. No, it is not so. You have to continuously improve the ISMS system. by looking at latest vulnerabilities, latest weaknesses, latest problems identified, latest business you are into. So about that continuously. So a plan has to have not only static ISMS implementation, it has to be a dynamic implementation. When changes comes, it has to accommodate and it has to be effective. That is what is the point here. So you have actions to address this risk and opportunities, how to integrate, implement actions. So this planning during ISMS implementation, as I was told, as I was telling, that it is not a static one, it is a dynamic one. So if it is a dynamic one, what are all the actions you will be carrying out needs to be planned, like internal audit, like management review, like vulnerability assessment and penetration testing for your network as well as for your other software components. So those things needs to be planned. And you need to talk about risk management. This we have discussed. Perform risk assessment to identify the high risk security areas. Depending on the degree of assurance required, manage the risk by reducing, avoiding, transferring. Why we are doing the risk assessment? You know that there are vulnerabilities in your assets, and these vulnerabilities, if it is exploited, there is a problem going to happen. So you want to avoid those risk. How we can avoid? You can either reduce the risk by applying appropriate controls, or you can avoid by shifting the risk to your maybe service provider, or maybe putting additional controls. Okay, so you can avoid as well as you can transfer also. Maybe transferring, how you can transfer, how you can transfer it to, maybe if a sabotage is going to happen for your business operations, what kind of business losses is going to happen. If business losses are there, somebody is there to compensate your business losses. Yes, you can think about going for insurance, like that, a kind of strategy. So that is risk transferring. Monitor the risk with regular. Yes, it is not only value assessment, asset value assessment has been done. Risk for each assets you have identified, value you have done the value, and it is not that it is going to stay as such forever. So new vulnerabilities, new weaknesses may come for the same asset. So you have to continuously monitor the risk at a regular interval, and associated threats also. So based on that, you are making a security objective. Security objective, as I was telling earlier, you have a policy, you have done the risk assessment, and after doing the risk assessment, you are making a scope of applicability of controls. Now you are talking about the security objective. What is security objective? Objective is that you have a policy. How are you going to meet your policy? So you have to put a measurable things which will ensure that your policy is met. So it is objectives are nothing but a measurable items which you define to implement your ISMS system, or to have a continuous improvement of your ISMS system. What are all the measurement I am going to do to see the effectiveness of the implementation? That is your security objective. So class 6.2 requires the organization establish ISMS objectives at relevant functions and all levels. Okay, and not only you are fixing the objective which is measurable, and who will measure and who will analyze, who will evaluate the measurement. So that has to be clearly defined in the roles and responsibilities. So security objectives, like it can be resource protection, the ability to secure all type of system resources, define different categories of users to access your system. So here access provisioning, like you have assets, it is not that all the users are allowed to access all the systems. So who is the person who can allow, who can see what are all the information? So what information and who can see? So a kind of protection, resource protection can be there as a objective. If you have such a objective, you can measure it. Okay, I have given access provisioning to the relevant persons only, and I am monitoring whether this relevant person is sticking to his own access provisioning, or he is something else he is doing it. That monitoring, through monitoring you will be coming to know it, so that you can avoid the risk. And authentication, yes, authentication is very, very important. Whether only you will allow authenticated users, what kind of provisions you are having to authenticate users to access your system and your information. Authentication very clearly to be given. And authorization, after authentications, what are all the privileges this particular, or what are all the access rights this particular authenticated user is having it. So there are two different terms, authentication and authorization. Authentication is having valid credentials. Only the users who have got valid credentials can enter into your system to see your resources, information resources, and he is allowed to see the information resources, as well as he is allowed to process your information resources. And to what extent? To what extent is your authorization? So that is access provisioning. So selection of selection of control objectives and controls. So review the risk and identify the control options. Selection of control should be made, bring down the risk to acceptable level. The selection of control should be cost effective. Okay, now you have identified the risk. Now you want to control the risk. To control the risk, what is the way out? You have the ISMS controls. You need to identify for this particular risk. To take care of this particular risk, I need to identify the ISMS control. These controls are given in 27,001. So appropriate control you have to select to minimize or to avoid or to transfer the risk associated with particular assets. Statement of applicability, yeah, we have already discussed. And now we have, I was telling about 114 controls. Whether all these 114 controls are really applicable, you need to see. If it is not applicable, then you have to give a proper justification for excluding particular controls. The ISMS as such is proposing 114 controls, 27,001 proposing 114 controls. You find that for your operation, some of the controls are not applicable. And then those controls, you need to, exclusion of those controls, you need to give a appropriate justification. It's very, very important. So control, when you talk about control against malicious software, I want to avoid malicious software injection into my system. Yes, this control is applicable. Yes, this is one of the ISMS control. Yes, in my network or in my system or in my area, I wanted to avoid or I want to control injection of malicious software. Yes, this control is very much applicable. So why this is applicable? Because highlighted by the risk assessment. The risk assessment states that allowing malicious software injection into your system in operation, network in operation, is going to create a alarming situation, or it is going to make a chaotic situation for your business operation. Yes, it is a very important control. So I need to implement this control. So it is a statement of applicability. Like authentication for external connections. Authentication external connections, yes, whether authenticated user alone will be allowed to use your system and resources. Yes, it is very, very important, because when you allow unauthorized users to enter into your system to see your system operations, it will create a problem. So this control is, so control against malicious software, authentication for external connections, and do-rest alarm to safeguard users. Is it required? No. Do-rest alarm, why do you want a do-rest alarm? So like that, it is a statement, it is a sample for statement of applicability. So there are 114 controls available. From the controls, you identify according to the risk, you identify the appropriate control, so that this control minimizes the risk pertaining to each asset. So support we have discussed already. So these are all the support needs to be extended by the management. You need appropriate resources. You need to develop competence for each persons working in the ISMS system. You need to make, they need to aware what is ISMS and what is their responsibility to protect CAA in ISMS. That awareness needs to be given, and the communication, who will do what, that needs to be, and who will communicate to our external world, how it will be communicated, about that needs to be discussed. And you need to have a documented information Okay, who will create documents, who will create policy, who will create objective, and who will measure the objective, who will do risk analysis, and who will do the risk identification, risk analysis, who will identify the vulnerabilities and the threats in the present in the system. About that, you need to have a document. That is why I was telling, everything has to be defined in the process, and only the defined process needs to be strictly followed. And anything to be additional, anything to be added, or anything to be deleted from the existing system, yes, it has to follow appropriate change control. And you have in operations, during the operations only this risk assessment and risk treatment is carried out. Risk treatment, risk assessment, we have said the vulnerability, finding out the vulnerabilities, and identification of controls to minimize the risk. Risk treatment is application of control. When you apply this, you have identified the risk associated with the asset. You have identified the control also. And after identification of this, after applying this particular control, what is the risk level you need to measure? That is risk treatment. And then you are implementing ISMS. This we have already discussed. And performance evaluation, yes, after implementing, you need to evaluate the performance. We have already discussed. It is through internal audit, management review, and continuous monitoring. And the improvement is through any non-compliance found in 9, that is performance evaluation, then it is known as non-compliance, and the non-compliance needs to be corrected to make a way for continuous improvement in the system. Okay, so monitor and review ISMS, this we have already discussed. Maintain and improve, we have discussed already. ISMS documentation, yes, very, very, very important. When you are talking about ISMS documentation, what are all the important documents you have to have it? So documented statements of security policy and control objectives, scope of the ISMS and procedures and controls in support of ISMS, risk assessment and management reports, documented procedure needed by the organization to ensure planning, operation, and control of its ISMS processes, records required by the ISMS standard, and statement of applicability. Let us see what are the documents the ISMS is requiring. So critical success factor for implementing ISMS is proper security policy, appropriate objective, and activities. These activities should reflect the business objectives. You have a business, you want to protect your business operations, and my policy, my objective, my activity should ensure the business operation without any disruption. Visible support and commitment from the management. Yeah, definitely without management support and commitment, you cannot do any ISMS implementation. And everyone should have a good understanding of security requirements, risk assessment, and risk management. The ISMS team can make it as a marketing tool from the security, from the top management. So by implementing this ISMS system, what the organization is going to benefit needs to be, it is as a marketing tool from your management as well as through outsiders also, your stakeholders also. So distributing of comprehensive guidance, education, training, comprehensive and balanced system of measurement. Okay, so these are all the critical success factor. But the problem is to determine how much is too much so that we can implement appropriate security measures to build adequate confidence and trust. Therefore, information needs to be. So it is a way of, how much amount of security I have to put in place. Yes, it depends on your business operation. It depends on the cost involved. It depends on the risk assessment. It depends on the policy. So it has to be managed. So I was talking about 14 domain. This is, we are coming deep into the standard. I was talking about standard. See, like any ordinary tangible items, any tangible item, we are having a physical security. So this software and data and other things are no intangible item, non-visible item. So how will you protect or how will you extend security into non-tangible items apart from your physical security system? So this standard apart from a physical security system, it is advocating other security measures also. So this is given in 14 domain. Information control A5, control A5 is information security policies. It is talking about information security policy. Control A6 talking about organization of information security. This information security, how it will be organized for outsiders, what is the information security? For internal, what is the information security? About that, you need to address in control A6. And suppose you are out of your office, out of your organization, you want to operate your system or you want to access your system, what kind of security policy you have to have it? So internal and external security policy, you need to have it. Then human resources security, when we are talking about human resources security, when you are inducting persons, what kind of background verification you are going to do it to work in your ISMS system. And after background, what is competence level needs to be decided, required for working in ISMS system. And what kind of awareness you are going to give it to each persons, that also need to be addressed. And when he is there in after recruitment, he is there in operations, what kind of on-site or what kind of training, on the job training you are going to give it to him, about that it addresses. And after leaving the organization, maybe resigning or maybe superannuation or maybe he is absconding, in such a situation, what kind of responsibility or what kind of liability is having it, that needs to be defined. It is not that he has come and he has worked with you and he is going and selling out your confidential information. No. So if he is selling out and if you are coming to know that what kind of liability he should have, it needs to be defined, and you have to have a non-disclosure agreement from him. And if he violates a non-disclosure agreement, you have the right to take penalty or penal action against him. And asset management is another control. How you are going to you are going to manage the assets. You have a asset inventory register and asset owner. About that it is discussing. And you have access control, and you for each assets, who is the person who you have so many assets, and you have so many persons also who will see which information, that is access provisioning, basically access provisioning. Then you have cryptography, whether it is applicable or not. Cryptography, if it is applicable, yes, appropriate controls are there, you need to apply. Then this is physical and environmental security. This was I was telling about formal, physical and environmental security by using the security personnels. During operations, what are all the security you have to put in place? There are so many controls under this particular domain. And you have communication security. Under this communication security, you have so many controls. How will you protect your network is addressed in communication security. During the operations, how will you protect your operation security is addressed in A12. System acquisition, suppose you have a system acquisition, development and maintenance, you have a development team, or when development team is there, what are the security from the beginning they have to incorporate into the development environment is given in this particular domain. And you have supply relation, there are so many suppliers. Then when suppliers are there for running your businesses, what are all the controls to be put in place to control information security management system. And you have security incident management, a separate control, security management incident. Suppose in spite of implementing all these things, you have a security incidents happening. If it is if you do not have formal reporting system, you will not come to know that what is a security incident. And there shall be a formal security management incident management system, that there shall be security reporting, formal reporting and formal response, as well as formal incident resolution process. And at the end, you have information security. Yes, I have placed everything. I have put in place all the control. Everything is available, but still there are incidences. Incidences are controlled through incident management. Beyond incident management, still there can be something, natural calamity. There can be a virus, zero day virus attack. When such a things happens, how are you going to continue my business? That is business continuity process, which is given in control A7, and you have A18. That is control A18 is compliance. What are all the mandatory compliance for legal and statutory controls you have to put in place? And you have to, like, you have GST registration, you have company registration, you have so many such a complaint, like IT, the income tax compliance. So those compliances you have to identify what are all the legal and statutory law applicable for running your business in that particular location. That needs to be addressed in A18. So I was talking about 14 domains. So A5 to A18 is a 14 domain or 14 different area you have to cover if you want to protect your CAA and continuously improve your ISMS. And each domain has got number of controls. That is what is the point. This all the 114 controls I was mentioning about is from each domain. Each domain has got a certain number of controls. So all controls put together, you are getting 114 controls. Okay. So security policy we have already discussed elaborately. This we have discussed. When you organize the information security internal to the organization and the external mobile devices and teleworking, when you are operating your ISMS system in a secured environment, internal organization security objective is security policies applicable. And there are some users, they may operate like work from home. What kind of control they need to put in place to operate and access your system, that needs to be addressed in mobile device and teleworking policy. So you have information security management system, two policies. One is to the internal, second is mobile devices and telenetworking policy. And you have human resources security policy. I will go very fast. This we have discussed already. So during the employment, what kind of security precautions you have to take? Prior to employment, what kind of screening you have to do? During the employment, what kind of training needs to be given? That needs to be addressed. And after employment also, how he is liable needs to be addressed. And asset management, you have who is the responsible person for asset inventory and who is asset owner, all those details. And what is the asset classification, very, very important. So you have assets, and this asset, what is the class, whether it is internal, whether it is confidential, whether it is restricted, the classification you have to make it. And as well as you have to make a asset owner. So you have inventory, you have ownership, you have, and then very, very important point is A8.1 point, acceptable use of each assets. This acceptable use of each assets, and up to what extent the owner can use the asset. That is acceptable. Here only access provisioning comes. Acceptable use of assets only, access provisioning comes, and return of assets in case of the employment I mean he is resigning, or he is retiring, or he is going to some other organization, or he has been his role is changed. In that case, assets available with him.
Sir, this is Anup. I'm sorry to disturb you in between.
Yeah, another 5 minutes. I'll finish.
Okay, sir. Okay.
I'll finish. Yeah, it's 12:10, no?
12:15, sir.
12:15. Yeah, just 5 minutes. I'll finish. Yeah.
Okay.
So you have. So these are all the things you have to take care. Access control we have already discussed, and it is not only that you are providing access mechanism, and this access mechanism, access provisioning has to be regularly reviewed. Very, very important. Access provisioning needs to be regularly reviewed by the process owners. Okay. And then you have cryptography. This control, whether it is applicable or not, you have to see. And the majority of the business operations, this control is very much applicable. So when you are communicating with the external world, you may communicate through mail, or you may communicate through internet, you may communicate through so many mechanisms. Though these controls are very, very relevant, how you are going to, what is your policy to while transferring your, or while processing, while storing your information, what kind of cryptography policy you are having it. About that, you have to address it. And physical and environment, it is already I told, it is formal, which is established everywhere. You have provisioning, formal security, physical security, as well as even sometimes access, physical access control machines. About that you have to address. And operation security, these are all some of the control. Operational procedures and responsibility has to be established. Protection from malware, how are you going to protect from malware has to be given. What is the backup also you have to address in this operation security. Logging and monitoring also you have to, who will monitor and what kind of logging will be done. And if administrator is logging, administrator is monitoring everything, and who will monitor the administrator. So administrator log also needs to be reviewed, that is addressed here. Then in case any changes to the existing system you want to make it, it has to mandatorily go through the change management process. Anything which is not coming under this change management, there will be chaos. So you should not allow anything to happen out of change management process. Maybe it may be new tool, it may be new technique, or it may be new applications, it may be new process change. Anything comes, it has to come through this particular. So communication security, it is talking about network security. It will be discussed in the next one. And information transfer, and about that it is addressing. And information system acquisition, development, and maintenance. You have during the development, what are all the security principles you have to incorporate? It is there, has to be addressed. And you have so many controls in this particular domain also. You can refer to the standard. And the supplier relationship also, you have some controls. When you want to have a supplier relationship, how you are maintaining your supplier, maybe internet service provider, maybe your physical security service provider, maybe your data center service provider, maybe your server maintenance service provider, maybe desktop maintenance. So from these all service provider, what kind of controls you have to have it. So that needs to be addressed in supplier relationship. And then I was talking about, in spite of everything available, you have incident. Incident comes, there shall be a formal mechanism to report the incident. And there shall be formal resolution also. In spite of that, even the incidents are regularly, there is a natural calamity happens. In spite of everything, calamity, natural calamity, maybe fire, there may be some flood, maybe some electricity problem, electricity outage, and maybe some virus attack. When such a situation happens, but still you are bound to give the business operations with the assured security level. So you need to have a business continuity management process, separate process. So that is why I was telling it is a very beautiful standard. Any situation comes, if this system takes care of continuation of your business with minimal disruptions, so your risk is very much minimized. Compliance with legal and contractual. So the statutory compliances, you have to identify when you are operating at one place, and that particular place, what are all the legal and statutory complaints you have to go through. That needs to be, all those relevant laws needs to be identified, and you have to have a complaints to the relevant law. Maybe filing GST, maybe filing income tax, maybe filing like working women sexual harassment. You are bound to give the this one complaints report every defined interval. So these are all the things you have to address in this particular. And then technical, very, very important. So this technical compliance, in spite of everything, that is why you are telling it is a proactive standard, and you have to do the technical compliance review. You have established, you have established the system, and it has to be regularly reviewed. The system has to be regularly reviewed. Procedure needs to be regularly reviewed, and your risk assessment needs to be regularly done. Not only that, regularly review the latest vulnerabilities and weaknesses present in the system. So in general, many of the organizations, they are going for this VAPT, that is vulnerability assessment and penetration testing from a third party, and third party certification also. So this we have already discussed, not much. So this you have to know about it. Mandatory document. These are the mandatory document which is required by the ISMS system. You have scope, you have policy. This all we have risk assessment plan. These are all the mandatory documents you have to make it for getting ISMS implementation as well as certification. And you have some mandatory records. Okay. Okay, everything is there. Yeah, we have done with it. In a nutshell, this standard is a very beautiful standard. When you want to implement ISMS system, if you implement the ISMS system in true spirit, if you understand the requirement very correctly, it's a very good system. And at the end, you can minimize the risk associated with your business operation. If you are correctly understanding the system, correctly understanding the assets, risk associated with the assets, and risk assessment as well as risk treatment, and continuously if you are reviewing your system, you are rest assured that your system is having a minimal risk even if it is compromised. Okay, this is what is the point. Thank you very much for patiently listening. Any question is there, you can just put, or you can put it on the general, maybe Mr. Anupam, I can reply. Any question, Mr. Tapas? Yeah.
Sir, thank you very much for
Yes.
very informative session on ISMS implementation.